before I make the siyam, I just want to share a couple words about the siyam. So we're going to be saying in the siyam a certain phrase which you don't really hear that often. We're going to be saying Hadran Alach Talmud Bavli. So we all have our own Talmud Bavlis in our life, things which might seem difficult, might seem unachievable. For some people, it might actually be finishing Shas themselves. For other people, it might be other things. So what are we doing to try and accomplish those things which we might perceive to be unachievable? The Gra says that the tafkid in a person's life is whatever his nisyon osar, whatever he has struggles with. That's what the purpose in his life is, to try and overcome those challenges. Similarly, the Maharal says that the goal of this world is to overcome teva. Right? People, there's nature. People live a certain course. The goal of this world is to overcome nature. A lot of times we second guess ourselves and we just think too much. It's a lot of times, if let's say you're going into a cold swimming pool, if you're going to go in little by little, you're not going to end up going in. You just have to jump in. A couple of weeks ago, we read about the story of Kriyas Yamsuf, and Klal Yisrael gets to the Yamsuf, and they're trapped. They have nowhere to go. The Mitzrayim on one side, the Yamsuf on the other side, and they're davening to Hashem. And one of the most puzzling statements in probably all of Chumash, maybe all of Tanakh, that Hashem says to Moshe, Eli, why are you crying out to me? Just go into the water. It seems very troubling. You're in a time of difficulty. What else are you supposed to do? We know you're supposed to cry out to Hashem. So I heard that there's a medrash that says that in creation of the Yamsuf, it was built in that the Yamsuf was supposed to split when Bnei Yisrael got to the Yamsuf. All it needed was for someone to just believe in themselves and just jump in. As my good friend Iron Mirza flew in special from Florida for this. Also, shout out to the Quincy's flew in special from Florida. He likes to quote Rav Tzadok, who says that just like you have a emunah on Hashem, you're supposed to have a emunah in yourself. There's another medrash that also says that every water in the world at the time of Kriyas Yamsuf, it's split. You had a cup of water in who knows where in China, so the water in that cup would split. So every person in the world knew about Kriyas Yamsuf. Everyone had their own. Butler spoke about it in the shir this morning, that Vayishma Yisro, everyone knew about the nace of Kriyas Yamsuf. Everyone knew about it. But Yisro was the only one who really listened and really took action. And Butler gave a good mashal this morning about connecting the Super Bowl, but what it means to be a receiver versus a runner, and connecting that to Nasav Nishma. It was very good. And so it's really remarkable when I knew what I wanted to speak about, and then I'm being Messiah Tanis, and on the next daf that I learned the Gemara that fit perfectly. You see a lot of Siyata D'Shmaya whenever you're trying to prepare anything, that what you're learning really connects. Hashem's trying to send you a message. So there's a story on Chaf Aleph Amud Aleph. There's a story with Rabbi Yochanan and Ilfa, that they were Talmidei Chacham, they were learning in yeshiva, and they really didn't have a lot of money, and so they had to leave the base medrash to go earn a parnasa, and they were traveling, and they stopped by a leaning wall, and they decided to eat together some bread, and as they were eating, there were two malachim who were saying, I think we should have this wall collapse on them. They left Menichei Chai Olam, Oskim L'Chai Shah. They left the base medrash to do what? To earn a parnasa. I don't think they're deserving of living. So the other malach responds that no, there's one person who's he's destined for great things. And the Gemara, to quote, says, Amr le Ida, So the other second mala says shavkinu. No, leave him alone. There's one of them that has his time. He's destined for great things. Yochanan shama, the Ilfa lo shama. Rabbi Yochanan heard, Ilfa did not hear. Amar le Rabbi Yochanan Ilfa, shama marmidi. Did you hear? Amar le lo. He said, no, I didn't hear. And Rabbi Yochanan left. He decided to leave, and he went back to the base marriage. And we know Rabbi Yochanan became the great Rabbi Yochanan. And so the Pashup child of the Gemara is that he heard, and Rabbi Yochanan heard, and Ilfa didn't hear. But I think what you could say is no, they both heard. Just Rabbi Yochanan really heard. He heard the message, and he took action, and he did something about it. I've never read the book. There's a book called The Tipping Point from Malcolm Gladwell. Maybe other people have read it. He says that there are certain instances in your life, certain key moments where your life is determined by how you respond to these events. And your whole life can be swayed by one small thing. And there are a lot of different stories in the Gemara about people who are yesh kona olam b'shah achas. That people are able, their whole life, there are stories of people doing really bad averos, but they're able in one instance to turn around their whole life. So I heard this past week in a shir from about the Shem of Zundel Kreuzer, who passed away a couple of years ago, that he said that by a sofrim, when they write Megillas, a lot of times they'll start writing from the middle of the Megillah, because the sofer will make sure that the beginning looks nice, the end looks nice, but a lot of times it gets a little sloppy in the middle. So he said they'll make sure that if they start in the middle, that the whole Megillah will then look nice. So I think it's important for us to view our life as it's in the middle, right? All of our lives are really in the middle, but to view our lives that we're in the middle, like the sofer. That now is the time to start, even though we're in the middle. So a year ago seems like a long time, but considering sometimes it feels like it was just yesterday. As I told my mom in the alley that this is how I sum it up, that when you think about my dad's absence, it feels like it's forever. But if you think about his presence, it seems like it was just yesterday. I think about that for a little bit. I explained to my mom, and I think she agreed with me. So I remember a year ago when Cyril drove me to the hospital. I first had to give my car to Cyril for that ride. I don't think I ever thanked you for that. So we got to the hospital before the ambulance got there. I remember davening to Hashem. And I said, there are certain things about my life that I promise I'm going to change if my dad pulls through. At that time, there really wasn't anything to do. But Hashem in that instance said no. I think it's important also to point out that a lot of times when we daven, we don't think our tefillos are necessarily heard. But all our tefillos are heard. Sometimes the answer is no. Sometimes the answer is yes, but not now. So the Yahrzeit is a time to reflect. A lot of people said they were inspired. I hope all of us were changed in some way from what happened a year ago. But now is the time to reflect and to see how have those thoughts really impacted our life in a real meaningful way. But I was thinking when I was in a chutzpah really kind of way, making this kind of trying to make this deal with Hashem. I was thinking to myself, why I'm acknowledging that I should be doing these things. So why do we have to wait for these times of sorrows to really make real changes? Why can't we just do them now? I always think about a lot of times in Eretz Yisrael when there are sorrows, there's a war, there's a lot of achdus, a lot of Klal Yisrael comes together. And I'm not a big Rav or a Navi at all. But could be that Hashem wants to bring these tzaros because to bring Klal Yisrael together. Wouldn't it make more sense to have this achdus before the tzaros happen, so the tzaros are not even necessary? So why do we have to wait for these things to happen to really make real changes? A lot of times I ask myself, we all have to ask ourselves these questions. Why not you? Why not now? Just jump in. So I'm going to sign Mesachas Tanis. So at the end of the Gemara, it's discussing what happens on Tu B'Av. It says it's a big yontif, and it's discussing marriage between men and women. And then in the end, it discusses really, I guess, in sort of like the marriage between HaKadosh Baruch Hu and Bnei Yisrael. And it says, Amar Ula, Hira, Amar Rabbi Elazar, Asa HaKadosh Baruch Hu Lasos, Machol Tzadikim Hu Yoshe B'neim. That there's going to be a circle made around HaKadosh Baruch Hu, and Hashem's going to sit in the middle. Began Eben. B'chol Echad Mara Betzvah. And everyone's going to point to Hashem sitting in the middle. That on that day, everyone's going to declare that Hashem is our God, and we put our hope in Him, and He's going to save us. That we trust in Hashem, and Hashem is going to we're going to rejoice in His salvation. Talmud Bavli, V'Hadra Chalan. Daitan Allah Mesachas Tanis v'Talmud Bavli, Daitan Chalan. Don't use Shem Yinam, Mesachas Tanis v'Talmud Bavli, V'Ot Tis Shem Yinam, V'Abam Adin, V'Abam Adin. Daitan Allah Mesachas Tanis v'Talmud Bavli, V'Hadra Chalan. Daitan Allah Mesachas Tanis v'Talmud Bavli, Daitan Chalan. Don't use Shem Yinam, Mesachas Tanis v'Talmud Bavli, V'Ot Tis Shem Yinam, V'Abam Adin, V'Abam Adin. Daitan Allah Mesachas Tanis v'Talmud Bavli, V'Hadra Chalan. Daitan Allah Mesachas Tanis v'Talmud Bavli, Daitan Chalan. Here's on Tanakh, and I'm going to finish it. The hate to respond to the sin of all Mazah. They in my Papa, Mariba Papa, Nachman Papa, Achaiba Papa, Mariba Papa, Ahmar Papa, Rakish Papa, Sukha Papa, Adar Papa, Darba Papa. I have not known as to race, what's called the fields on Pabisel, net one Nachman to send Mapabisel. Foundation Nachal und this of Sachli, und this of Sacha. Der weiß der Freund, das sagt Ilam Yuli, wie es am Jungs Bild und Kaffer man lei Bosch, Olam Rosh Kaffer und Dachal ki bam fi sein Bruch ata Nile und den Kaffer Amen so that modern Nachal work with Kanafa and when we were sending the Santa Fakim Yoshe base and Midrash or Santa Fakim Yoshe Kronos. Kan mashkim him mashkim anu mashkim dar Torah ve mashkim dar Torah betin. Anu men lahim men anu men khamis ka ve men khamis ka. Anu rasim him rasim khamis ba him rasim ver shachas. Shinamar va talim tardim ver shachas ashim dam and mirma or see name very after. Here's some Tanacha and other libraries kishim shel tanim tanim mesachas tanis tam bab. They can't as in the Hashem Mesachos Farm Achim, the Simon Wilma, Lame, Glishmar, Lasso, the Kaimas, Kobis, of Sound to Zephyr, the Allah, the first call to Naim, Run, some day, Famim, Yam, Lee, Zari, Shul, Tanush, Hator, Pi, Zari, Aralam. If Kaim be, this Alaka, and Kyle, Slaku, Shat, Tishmar, Lachov, That's Akisosa, Peace, Sifacha, give me your month, your brew, your mom, your Macha, your Sifa, Shal Spain, Earthman, your Minavos, Osha, Blood, and I was on the King Night of the Novel Shalom. Yesterday, Shmer, Magi, Vasilis, Hadasu, Haya, Isaya, Lasaka, Yasin, Mahaya, Mam, Ulay, Kartal, Dushanish, Aplay, Hazelay, Ulabay, Makarpa, Alpana, Ulura. Our Asava, Papanadi, Bishmai, Lasha, Ramus, Bishabuku, Makusevi, Kare, the High from your Mekong, High for basis, Babos, Van Karibim, Isbarvis Amamis Nase, Pisa Davis Levis, Allah Shmedi Vishabri, Moment of Savish, Yasat Fasam Nafasa, Tamara Mavim Rabbe, Aisha Rabban Matamine, and Bako Tamide, Samide, Bakamanda Simraisa, Divasar, David Hasar, Vasar, the Hill on the Fun Shamaraba, Kino Kitabak, and Heinrich and Zonner Bifai, Bokanamik Namavuni Shamarabin Rabbe, Ishmaravin Shmar, Hamton Malena Baklay Shalom Rabbe. Session Bruma, Abraham session, Lane of Alcohol, Amen.
Ras Hashem Temima, Ras Hashem Temima.